Hello, welcome to episode 63 of Fluffy Fibres, the French podcast in English on sewing, knitting and occasionally spinning a handmade wardrobe from head to toe. Thank you so much for joining me today on this really hot summer day of mid-July 2018. I am coming to you as always from southern France, and my name is Isabelle in French, and yeah, thank you so very much for being here today. Welcome if you're new to the podcast. I do hope you enjoy this sewing and knitting podcast. I have a regular episode for you today with all the usual segments. So if you want to keep in touch, I am Fluffy Fibres on Instagram and Ravelry, and we have a Ravelry group as well, Fluffy Fibres podcast, where I always post a thread for each episode where you can comment, and I always love it when you do. It really does brighten my day. Although I have, for the past few months, I have also opened the comments on YouTube, and it's also been really lovely to read all your comments on here. And obviously, since I started doing this, less people have been commenting on Ravelry, and rather you have been commenting on YouTube, which is absolutely lovely. I mean, either way is completely fine for me, obviously. I always love to read what you your response to the podcast and your own experience and how it resonated with you, and absolutely treasure each and every one of your comments. I always read everything, obviously, and I do my best to respond in as timely a manner as I can, despite a very, very busy life. But yeah, so thank you so much to all of you who take the time to comment. It's always hugely appreciated, and it definitely makes this whole experience worth it. So today's segments will include my cup of tea, a handmade wardrobe, a bit of sewing, or rather a lot of sewing as you'll see, a bit of knitting, and a bit of spinning as well, and then Happy Mail Day. So yes, I do hope, before starting, I do hope you're all doing really, really well. I know the summer has been quite hot this year in the Northern Hemisphere, especially north of us actually. We have had rather late summer, and or even even now it's obviously we were definitely completely in summer weather, so it's quite hot, but it's not as hot as it can be. We're around 32 degrees Celsius, which is hot, but especially as you know, we don't really have much of air conditioning in France, but it's still it is still rather bearable. But I know in the north of Europe, you've had some crazy hot weather for your for what you're used to, and so I do hope you're all doing really well and keeping cool. So yes, so without further ado, my cup of tea today is, which is probably not really wise, but the aim is really for this to cool down and then to enjoy when it's rather cool. It is, I think it's the only non-organic tea or infusion I ever drink actually, and it is an English infusion, which is rose lemonade by Taylors of Harrogate, and I absolutely love this. And you can't get it in France, and even when I was in Edinburgh, I couldn't find it anywhere. But I absolutely love this rose lemonade, and I think I got one or two tea bags of this a couple of years ago in a package I received, either something I'd ordered. I can't remember who sent me this, but maybe a gift, or especially as a gift, or an order. I can't remember, a yarn order. I can't remember, but I absolutely loved it. And so Seb, my husband, was away for work in England last month, and so I begged him to bring me some, so that and he did. So yes, it's just it's not organic, but it's completely natural. You have no artificial flavors in there, and so it's I know there's a lot of hibiscus in it, which is one of my favorite infusion ingredients. So hibiscus, rosehip, apple piece, blackberry leaves, lemongrass, and then you have some rose petals and natural flavoring. So it's very refreshing because there's definitely this rose flavour, which I'm not usually a huge fan of in itself. Like, I'm not a fan of like rose teas, especially black rose teas, but here, because you have the zing of you know, more citrusy flavours, it really is lovely, and it's wonderful cold as well. So it's great hot, but it's also a really, really lovely cold drink. So the goal really is for this to cool down and then to enjoy, even though it's also really nice hot. So for a handmade wardrobe today, it's actually going to be the beginning of my sewing segment as well, because I'm wearing my latest, one of my latest sewing finishes, which is the penny dress by Sew Over It London. And I'm a bit miffed because just as I started recording, I realised the corner of this collar hadn't been properly pressed, and so it's doing this funny thing, and I'm not really happy about that. It's the kind of thing that drives me crazy, and I know it will drive me crazy when I edit this episode, so I just wanted to get it out of the way first so it doesn't drive me as crazy. But yeah, it doesn't usually do that. It usually lays flat, but I just don't think I ironed it properly when I last washed it. But yeah, so this is the penny dress by Sew Over It London. It's a dress that's one of their most popular patterns. If you recall, last time I was actually working on this. I was in the process of making it, and I had been wanting to make a penny dress ever since it came out. I'm going to do that. Curtsy a little. Yeah, I had been wanting to make this ever since the pattern came out last year, and I finally got around to it, and I really, really like it. There are a few things I'd like to be, I don't know, I think could be improved. I think the waist is pretty high, and I know they just released it as a paper pattern, and I think they tweaked this so it doesn't sit as high. And so it sits a bit high. I think it could be a bit more flattering if it was just like an inch lower to hit a natural waist, which is what it really is here. So it could, I think it would be more flattering, really. It would just flare, you know, nip me in and then flare at just the right spot. It's fine at the back, as you can see. But yeah, and I can't imagine how it works for other people, because I am really short, as you may know if you've already followed the podcast or Instagram. I am just over 5 feet, not even 5 feet 1 inch, so which translates into 154 centimeters, and so I can't imagine how this works on a regular figure. I mean, regular, that doesn't make any sense, but on a taller figure than me. Also, I just feel, I mean, I really love this dress, don't get me wrong, I really absolutely love it. I love the style, the vintage vibe to it, the 40s vibe to it. It has the exact same kind of detail as the Eve dress in terms of, yeah, in terms of the gathering. It's just slightly less gathered than the Eve dress, but you have the same kind of construction with this shoulder tab, sleeve, you know, gathering here to create the bust shaping, which I really, really like. The Eve dress was the same, and I think it gives it a, you know, that is a key in giving it that 40s vibes. I'm more of a 50s, early 60s girl when it comes to vintage styles, but I do like this. I do like a good 40s, you know, dress occasionally. Also, obviously, the collar also gives it a much, you know, very much a 40s vibe. So as you can see, the sleeves are contiguous with the bodice, and you have buttons. So I only chose to add 2, but I think I'm going to add a 3rd one here, because it doesn't quite gape, but I think it would give it more structure here, get it to lay more flat. So I will be doing this very, very soon. But I really love my buttons, so these are the buttons I chose. They were in my stash. So these were in my stash, and they match the dress perfectly, because you have a little purple flowers in there. And I'm very lucky to have quite a sizable button stash for several reasons. My mom gave me a bunch, my grandma as well. as a gift. And then Seb's grandma is her very best friend passed away, I think, over 10 years ago now. But every time, and so she inherited all of her sewing, and she was an avid seamstress, and she inherited all of her sewing stuff. And every time I go and see Seb's grandma, who is, you know, whom I love to bits, we are really, really close actually, she always gives me some of this stash because she doesn't sew herself. And so I have lots of buttons and also lots of thread as well, which is super handy. A lot of the thread I use, actually, it's quite vintage itself. And it's really nice because I have a vast array of colours, which is really handy to sew, to top stitch, etc. So yeah, it was really easy for me to find matching buttons in my stash. I think these were actually given to me by my mom. Once she gave me, for my birthday, I think, a huge bunch of assorted buttons, which was really lovely. So yes, so I think my favourite feature is the, so I won't lie, this was quite a lot of work actually. The bodice, the colour, I found it quite a lot of work, which is fine. I mean, you know, it's I like to, the instructions were really clear, and they did add an extra tutorial on the blog for the colour, because apparently it wasn't really clear how to finish it, but especially in terms of the understitching, because the understitching then becomes the top stitching actually. But I had absolutely no problem assembling it. I love the detail, the care in the instructions, and the, you know, the way this is finished. It's really lovely, really a well-made pattern, which leads to a well-made dress. I really love the skirt. So the skirt is very dramatic because it's actually a full circle skirt. So that's quite crazy and wonderful actually. And then you have this elastic casing that you use a larger seam allowance at the waist to create this casing, and then you have a bit of elastic in there. So it's very nice for summer, for our hot summers, because it's rather loose, very comfortable, and you know, it's breezy, and I really, really love wearing it, and I feel really fabulous actually when I'm wearing it out and about. I will say though, yeah, I'm you know, the waist I think is a bit high, and also I just think, I don't know about you, but I think the bust is a bit tight on me. You know, there isn't quite enough, as you can see here. If I do this with my shoulder, there isn't quite enough room to be completely comfortable, and this is quite surprising because I've made quite a number of sewed patterns now, and sometimes I wonder if their sizing is really consistent, because yeah, or maybe it's just a question of ease really, but yeah, it definitely works differently from other things I've made from them, which were much looser fitting. I don't know, but yeah, next time I use it, I'll definitely have to, if I do make it again, because it's quite a distinctive pattern, I'm not sure if I'll make it again, but yeah, I'll definitely have to allow for a bit more room at the bust. But yeah, I mean, I do love it very, very much. I'm so happy I finally made one. And the cotton, so the fabric is a cotton poplin, really very simple, that I got for a very inexpensive price. You do need a lot of fabric for this. You need, I think, around 3 meters, or over 2.5 meters. I had a 3 meter cut of this, which I had gotten quite inexpensively. I think it cost me €10 actually. It was in my stash already. It had been sitting in my stash for a while. And so because I had more fabric, I cut the skirt longer than it usually is. So this is supposed to hit you, I believe, just below the knee. But I like long dresses, I really do. And I know, you know, the rules of, I mean, when you're petite, you're not supposed to have things hit you at mid-calf, and, you know, but I don't care. I really don't care. I love this look. I love having my skirt swishing around at mid-calf. I think it's really stylish, very chic, especially for work, but even for myself, you know, for going out and about. So I don't care really. I just love the length at which I made it. So yeah, it hits me at you won't be able to see this, but yeah, mid-calf really. You can see pictures of this on my Instagram. I shared a few pictures not long ago, yeah. So I think it has more of the vintage vibe also with the longer skirt, which I really love. So yeah, but I often do this. I do like skirts at, you know, to hit me at the knee, but I do also love a longer skirt as well. So I occasionally do that and, you know, lengthen the patterns to actually hit me even lower than they would, since I'm so short. So yes, that's the penny dress. It was rather work intensive, but it's a really lovely pattern. I can completely understand the whole, you know, why everyone went crazy for it. Yeah, so the print is quite unusual for me, not in terms of the small florals, that is absolutely my vibe, but in terms of the colours, because there is some warmer shades in there. There is some yellow, orangey yellow, which is not at all the kind of thing I usually can pull off. I mean, and I was a bit hesitant actually to cut into this at first and to wear it. I'm very cool, you know, my skin tone is definitely very much on the cool side, and so I look best in cool shades. But because you also have, you know, greens and especially the pinks and the purple flowers, I do think it works. So it's a nice way to venture out of my comfort zone, I think, and to have a bit of this lovely colour in itself, obviously, scattered in there. And obviously these are wildflowers, which are my favourite. I'm just a sucker for wildflowers. I love them so very, very much. So I really love them in itself, you know, the print. So yes, that is my handmade wardrobe for today. My the handmade thing I'm wearing today, and also one of my finished sewing projects. So yes. Oh, this is getting really lovely and cool now. It's so yummy. So I do have a fair amount of sewing to share with you today, but all of the other things were not for me, but for my family, so that is really lovely. So first of all, my little boy. So for those of you who don't know, who are here for the first time, I have two children. I have a little boy who just turned 2 on July the 1st, Canada Day, and I have a little girl, or a bigger girl, who is now 6 and almost a half. And so yeah, so my little boy turned 2 on July the 1st, and so I made him a few things, obviously, to add to his gifts. So I made him, first of all, this romper, which is the tank top romper by Brandy and Twig. If you follow me already, you know by now, Brandy and Twig is definitely my go-to pattern company for small children and babies clothing. I'm very, very sad that they don't extend to, you know, beyond 5 or 6 years, because I would love for my daughter to have more of their things. She can still use the, you know, 6-year size, definitely, but yeah, not for long. And my son, because he grows so fast, I know it won't be long before you know, he also will be growing out of the sizes. And actually they recently, yesterday, you know, there's this new feature on Instagram, Ask Me a Question, which is quite fun, and they did it actually, and a lot of people, like I think almost 10 people, asked them if they were planning to extend their size range to bigger sizes, and they said no. So that's a bit of a pity, because I do love their style. It's very modern, very wearable, but also easy to make. And so this is the tank top romper. And you may recognise the fabric if you've watched the podcast before, because I made a romper, another of their rompers, the breezy romper, for the little boy of my friend Lise, who's Lise Taylor. and I had just enough fabric to eke out to make this as well, because the tank top romper doesn't use a lot of fabric. It's very simple to construct. It's very, very fast to make. Okay, okay, there you go. So I love this fabric, I really do, and I'm so happy I had enough to make something for my little boy as well. So this is an organic cotton fabric by Lillestoff, and it has seagulls and waves all over. My little boy is obsessed with birds, especially because he loves to talk, and because both my children are late walkers but early speakers. And so one of his favourite words is actually oiseau, which is birds, obviously, oiseau. And so yes, so I was very keen to make this for him because he loves to have oiseau on his clothes. And so yeah, I made the 3-year size, because last year I made him the 2-year size, and he can still just about wear the one I made him last year, but not for long. And it's really very short at the thighs. It's super, super short. So this one is also larger, so it's more comfortable, I guess, for him. It has more ease. So yes, and for the binding I used some organic cotton binding, actually, ribbing. So this is organic cotton ribbing that I used for the binding, and it's completely assembled on the serger, this one. As you can see. Yeah. So, and I added snaps, metal snaps. I shared, I think, a couple of episodes ago, actually, when I made the breezy romper for Lisa's baby. That was the first time I mastered the metal snaps, and now, of course, I'm making them. I'm putting them everywhere because I'm such a convert. They are definitely the way to go for jersey fabrics. I used to use cam snaps, but and you definitely need some interfacing behind the cam snaps, but even then, even when they're interfacing, they exert a lot of strain on the garment. And actually, my friend Lise just talked about this on her latest podcast, which is in French, but she did, she completely, completely agree in this respect, that cam snaps are not great for jersey, but obviously, honestly, even for woven fabrics, I mean, I put them everywhere. I used to put them everywhere, especially because I did a lot of washable nappies for, when my little girl was a baby, and that is when I started using them. But I also, for instance, have put them some at the, at the bottom of some duvet covers to close them up. And they tend to pop off, actually, and so it's quite frustrating, but this feels really secure, and honestly I think it's actually easier to insert than cam snaps, so you have less margin, you have a lesser margin of error, I think, with these. So I just can't believe I waited for so long before I used them. So yes, so the tank top romper, he loves it. He's so cute in this. He's so adorable. So yes, and as always, I always add a little ribbon at the back so that it's easy to find your way around and know what is the back and the front. So yes, I also made him for his birthday, this little guy, which is so sweet. And it's been completely adopted. So this is from a fabric panel by Melly and Me. I think by Riley Blake. I think Riley Blake is the fabric company behind it. And so you have the panels, the printed pieces, you cut them out, assemble them, and there is a tutorial on the Melly and Me blog to make it. So it is. Yeah, no, it really wasn't hard to do. I wouldn't even say it was fiddly, and I really loved the tutorial because you had so many great tips on making well-finished toys in general as well, especially on stuffing and, how to hand sew the opening, hand sew it shut here. and actually learned, yeah, for instance, I learned a nice new method for, you know, sewing, hand sewing an opening shut at the end. But yeah, it's a very cute little guy. And I love it for summer as well, because so my son loves, he's not like, he doesn't have one designated stuffy, but he does like to have a little stuffy to go to bed with, to cuddle. And this one is great because it's cotton, so it's very, very hot right now, obviously, especially at night. That's the hardest thing about living in southern France, is that the temperature doesn't go down that much at night, so it's really hard to go to sleep and, you know, be cool enough to go to sleep. But that's great because it doesn't keep him warm like you know, a toy with synthetic fur, or, you know, wood, so like a plushy toy would. So that's great, and he's completely adopted it. He absolutely loves it. I'm so happy about that. He cuddles it all the time. He, you know, takes it around with him all the time, everywhere. So I'm so excited that he loves it so much. And you know, it's always a bit hit or miss when you make toys for children. My daughter, I made her a cat a few years ago that is super fun, but she never really played with it. Also crocheted her a little doll, and same thing. But my daughter is not really into dolls, actually, or cuddling things. She's more into making stories, drawing. She draws all the time. But my little boy is very much into cuddling things, and so he's always, you know, he's so adorable in the morning when he wakes up, and he has his little, he just hugs him to his heart, you know. He always, very funnily as well, always makes sure he's facing the right way. Like, he will never do that. He'll always do this. So sweet. So yes, that was definitely a win. Obviously now my daughter wants one as well, you know. That's perfectly classical. But yeah, I'm really happy that he likes it so much. So after this, I didn't sew, but my daughter sewed something which I'm super happy about, and I did want to share it with you. So you may recall, for those of you who followed me before, that so my daughter was given a sewing machine, a proper sewing machine, when she was 6, and so it's not a toy machine, it's designed for children, but it is very, very much a beginner machine. It would be a great machine for beginners, actually, because it's not intimidating, but it's still good quality, so you won't fail with it, if you see what I mean. So when she had it, she made this tank top. So she was completely into making clothes because she wants to build her own handmade wardrobe like me. So she made this, and in this floral cotton print that I had in my stash for about 2 years. And lately she made the matching culottes, which is so exciting. So my daughter absolutely loves shorts. And so I found that was a great thing, because it looks like a skirt, but it's still shorts. And so this is actually one of the latest Brandy and Twig pattern. I think I mentioned it last episode, but the minute it came out, I jumped on it, because you always have a short-term discount on their patterns when they first come out. And I knew this would be, I had been under the lookout for this kind of pattern, and I knew this would be perfect for my daughter because it's very easy to sew. And so rather than, you know, have her, I think that's the good thing about having a mother that is experienced in sewing for her, rather than, you know, just getting her things that are labelled children's sewing, which aren't always exciting and very, you know, really don't always create nice results. I am on the lookout for patterns that I know will be manageable for her. And this one really was, because you don't have that many seams. Yeah, there is definitely a curved seam for the crotch, which wasn't that easy, but she managed it so really well. So the way we do it is, first she cuts out everything. She cuts out the pattern and the fabric, and she does an amazing job at this. And then what we do is, so she pins everything as well, and she sits at the sewing machine and has the pedal, and I help her feed the machine into the sewing machine. Really, I just help her, you know, have the machine go straight. Really, that is really hard for her to manage. You know, especially understanding that you can't pull on the fabric. You know, the way you have to position your hands so that you don't pull on the fabric. You just let it glide gently through. But yeah, she definitely has great reflexes, you know, stopping every time we reach a pin to remove it. She's definitely now, you know, perfectly memorized that you have to do a reverse stitch at the beginning, you know, to stitch in reverse at the beginning to lock your thread in place. And so yeah, so I think the only thing I did was sew the top stitching at the casing, because you really do have to make a really straight line here, otherwise you can't insert the elastic. The elastic is quite wide, it's 1 inch wide, and I did insert the elastic. That was really too hard for her to manage to insert the elastic all the way, but apart from that she did all the rest, and she absolutely loves it. And let me tell you, she looks so wonderful in her outfit. She honestly, I mean, regardless of, you know, this being handmade and handmade by her, honestly, this is the prettiest thing she has in her wardrobe. This outfit is so fresh and so her. Even though it's not her favourite colour, she's definitely more of a blue girl, but still, it looks wonderful on her. And it's absolutely perfect for summer, because she, you know, it's breezy, floaty, but she can have adventures in this, because it's not just a skirt, it's actually a short, you know, very wide short. So yeah, it's absolutely lovely, and I'm so proud of her, and really she looks so lovely when she's wearing this. So that is it for my daughter's sewing. I think next we might make shorts, really, but because she really loves shorts. So now I also made something for Seb, and I think it's the first time I sewed him a garment. I've already sewed things for him in the past, you know, laptop cases, bags, you know, tote bags, messenger bags, but I never made him a garment. And so you can see the garment in the background. I made him a t-shirt, and so this is the Metro t-shirt by Liesl & Co., which is an American pattern company. And yeah, I've made some of their designs in the past. They're really well, you know, there's a great attention to detail, so that's why I decided to use this particular pattern. I bought this actually last year. Every year at that time, actually this week, they have a huge sale with all of their patterns 50% off, which is a huge deal. And so that's when I got this pattern. But in the end, this is a super simple pattern, so I didn't really use the instructions at all. It's a very classic t-shirt with a neckband, really, and yeah, you know, double top stitching at the bottom, at the hem and the sleeves as well, but it's really easy to assemble. I did, as I always would, I don't think they tell you this, to do this in the pattern, but I always do this anyway. I did add a little strip of woven ribbon at the shoulder seam to stabilize it, so that it doesn't lose its shape with time, and so that you can hang this as well, you know, on a hanger, and it won't, you know, grow out of shape. That's a nice thing to do. So again, I did add a tiny little bit of ribbon to indicate the back. But yeah, it was actually super fast to make. I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. I'm not sure why, but I was so intimidated with men's patterns, which is silly. This is just a plain t-shirt, and this is very much Seb's style. Seb is always in t-shirts or very casual shirts, really. So the fabric for this is really nice. It's lyocell tencel, so it's a very ecological fabric. So it's super, it feels very much like a viscose, and it's the same kind of process as viscose, so it's super drapey, super soft, very breathable. He loves wearing it. It feels like silk. It's very, very breathable. You know, it's great for the heat. I actually had a hard time keeping this today with me to film because he wanted to wear it. So I made this for his birthday, which was on July the 9th, so last Monday, this past Monday, and he's basically, you know, been wearing it all the time since, you know, putting in, you know, washing it at night, you know, in the evening, having it dry at night so that he could wear it the next day. So it was very hard for me to convince him to leave it home today so I could film the podcast. But the colour, I absolutely love it. It's very, very him as well. It suits him really, really well. And so yeah, the fabric is, so it's the same process as viscose, but a lot more ecological because so it's out of eucalyptus. And the growing of eucalyptus is very sustainable, and also the way in which this is, you know, the chemicals that are used to produce the fibre out of the pulp are very, you know, respect the environment. Also, it's a closed circuit, so they don't go into water, they don't pollute. So that's a great fabric. In this respect, so I'm really, really glad I found this alternative to viscose, and I definitely want to make a t-shirt for myself out of this kind of fabric now. It's really very, very nice. So yeah, that's my first make for Seb in terms of, you know, garments, and it definitely won't be the last because I can't believe how easy this was. So I made him the XS size, and it is rather fitted on him. It fits him really well, but it's rather fitted, and he likes it that way. But I think next time I might do the S size so that he has also a more, you know, another one with more ease in it as well. And one last thing that is really great about this fabric is that it doesn't crease at all. So when you wash it, you just have to, you know, let it dry on a hanger, and it's perfectly crease free, which is great, especially in the summer when you don't want to be doing a lot of ironing. So that's really lovely. So I also made him for his birthday a case for his Kobo reader. So if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen I did an IGTV on this because I did a small tutorial over there for this. But yeah, so do feel free to, you know, to go there on Instagram on my IGTV on my profile. You'll see a small tutorial for this. It was really easy to do. And so Seb got a Kobo at Christmas with his, you know, his parents and I chipped in to give him one because he was very, I read a lot, especially at night when I can't sleep, or even to, you know, to go to sleep in the evening. I read a whole lot, and I've been reading even more since I got my Kobo, because my parents gave me my Kobo, I want to say 5 years ago now, 5 or 4 years ago, and because it has, you know, it has this lighted screen, so you don't have to switch on a light in the room. So I don't bother Seb with the light, and it's really lovely and very comfortable to read on. So I read a huge amount on this, and so Seb was, you know, definitely wanted one as well. But so it's been over 6 months since he'd had it, and he never got around to getting a case for it. And I kept reminding him that, you know, it wasn't safe to keep it that way. But yeah, so in the end, I took the matters in my own hand and I made him one. So I just asked him quite casually, quite a few weeks ago, what kind of case he'd like, and this was the kind of case that he wanted. So, very simple, you know, case where you slip the item in, you slip the reader in, so yes, the way I made this is, the nice thing about this really is the snap, the metal snap, the magnetic snap rather, that you can see here, or rather not see much, but yeah. So the way I added this was to sew it to some rather strong interfacing, so that you don't have any apparent seam for this snap, which I found was really nice. I found this in my local notion shop, and it's actually the magnets are actually bonded to some plastic, a plastic square, so you can sew the plastic square to your interfacing. And so yes, then you do have to be careful, make sure, mimic the way it's going to be constructed, to make sure you sew these the right side up, side up, so that they do attract one another. So then what I did was just sew these long strips. So this was my pattern piece. I created it from the e-reader. So I added some generous allowances, seam allowances, because you do have the extra bulk of the batting and so on. So I did want there to be quite a bit of room in there. And so you just cut out this into your outer fabric, lining, batting and interfacing. Then you sew the snaps onto the interfacing, then you interface the lining with it. And after that you sew the lining and outer fabric right sides together, and you also put the batting on top of this, so it all together, leaving an opening at one side to turn it inside out. You turn it inside out, press it well, top stitch all around for a nice finish, and also to close that opening that you made. And then what you do is just you fold it over, make sure the kobo is nice in there, nice and cozy, and you have room to to fold everything. And then make sure the flap is nice and folds well. And then all you have to do is sew some stops, sew an extra line of stitching on top of the stop stitching on each side, so here and here, and there you go. So you have a little case, super easy to make, super fast. It doesn't take much fabric at all. I used fabric from my stash. Seb really loves it. He loves the fabric, he loves the little case. He's really happy I made him that. So yes, there you go. So lastly, in terms of sewing, I just wanted to share what I have been in the process of making, and it is the Anastasia dress that I mentioned last time. And last time I didn't have the fabric around, but I did cut out the dress, so all I have now is to assemble it, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a lot of work actually. It seems like it's a rather easy dress to assemble. And so this is my fabric. It's this gorgeous magenta, pink purple, which I really, really love. So this is actually, yeah, there you go. This is, I think, the front of the dress. So yes, the only problem is I don't have a matching zipper yet. So I had this, you need an invisible zipper, and I had this one, but obviously it doesn't quite match. And I couldn't find any that matched locally, so I did have to place an order on Etsy for one, so hopefully it will arrive soon and I can make this. And the fabric for this is some viscose that I had in my stash. I had it for a couple of years now, I think. So I think it's going to be a lovely dress for summer, and I really look forward to having it done and wearing it. So that is it for all of my sewing. As you can see, that was quite a lot. I've been really inspired lately, as you know, to sew. Just going to put the t-shirt back onto my dress form, because the dress form looks like it's looming behind me quite menacingly, isn't it? So let's move on to my knitting now. So I have been knitting as well, but I don't have much to show for it, sadly, so it's not going to be a really exciting segment, because one of the things I just finished I gave away, and the other one I've been frantically knitting on is a test knit, and I can't share it. It's a secret test knit. So first of all, I did finish the cardigan I was showing you last time, which is the Miette cardigan by Andy Satterlund, and I knit it out of this cotton by Drops. It's Drops Loves You 8, and it's a very, very lovely worsted weight cotton. It's really lovely to knit, and it did create a beautiful fabric. And it's really, really white, which is what my mother wanted. I knit this for my mother. She knew exactly what she wanted. She wanted a crisp white cardigan with just a touch of lace. And I mentioned last time my qualms about this because it's cotton and it's regular cotton. It's not sustainable cotton. And there is a huge difference in the ecological cost of regular cotton versus organic cotton. There is a huge difference because regular cotton uses a lot of pesticides. It's one of the most important sources of pesticides in the growing of harvesting of cotton is one of the most important sources of pesticides in the world. Also, it uses a lot of water. But as opposed to organic cotton, which is why I really like to use organic cotton, but I couldn't find any organic cotton in this kind of white. And some of you told me, don't worry, this is actually recycled cotton, but it's not, sadly. So I know some of the Drops Loves You line are recycled cotton. Some of the earlier ones are recycled cotton. And that is lovely, but this one sadly isn't. Anyway, I can't find any detail on this anywhere, so I don't think it is, because if it was, I think Drops would tell us, right? So no, it's a very, it's a classic cotton. It's lovely. It's just not very sustainable. Of course, it's still, it's still biodegradable, which is lovely. But yeah, So I did want to share this with you. But yeah, my mom, so I visited my mom on a completely impromptu visit a few weeks ago. I went with my daughter. So it's quite a train ride because we live on the opposite side of France. My mom lives in Lille, so at the very top of France, and I live at the very bottom. So it's quite a train ride, and one we cannot do that often. But I just felt she needed a bit of cheering, really. So I just decided on a whim. I found some rather inexpensive tickets, or not too expensive tickets, should I say, train tickets. And so my daughter and I went, and we had a lovely weekend. It was really great. There's my older sister there as well, my cousins, my daughter's cousins. So we had a lovely time. But the cardigan was almost done, so I really scrambled to. I just wanted to get it to her then. So I did use every last minute of the train to finish it, but I did. So I did purchase some buttons the day before, very simple white, clear white buttons with a bit of shine, and I finished it, wove in all the ends, sewed in the buttons on the train, and she absolutely loves it, which I'm so happy about. So I don't have great pictures of it because I just didn't have the time. Again, it was a very short visit, just even less than 48 hours because of my work. So I don't have great pictures of it. I will definitely be sharing some pictures, obviously, but yeah, sadly I don't have nicely staged pictures of it. I didn't have the time for this, but that's not what matters, is it? What matters is that my mother really, really loved it. So I did an in-between size between it's a free pattern on Ravelry, and so you don't have many sizes. You have a 34, 38, and I guess 42, I can't remember. But I wanted an in-between size between 34 and 38. So what I did is that I cast on for the 38 and then didn't do all the increases, the raglan increases for the 38. I stopped before, and so that gave me the right size. I did have to adjust, make sure I had the right number, a right number of stitches for the lace border, but it all worked out really well, so that was really nice. I'm so happy I made this for my mum. She was so excited and she really, really likes it, so I'm really glad. So that's my finished knitted item, and then I have been knitting on a test knit for Marion Knits, who is a French designer, but she also writes her designs in English, and I am actually testing the English version of one of her future designs. So I can't share much about this. I can just say it's a fingering weight jumper. I think I can say there are some cables involved, but that's really all I can say. And so it's a rather involved design because it's a very, very well put out design, a thought out design, but you have lots of details, so it was quite, it's quite slow going, you know, obviously on very small needles and all those cables and the short row shaping and all this. It's a really, really nice design. I'm very excited about it. And let me tell you, even though Marion is French, you know, I can imagine sometimes when you might be, if you don't know French, you might be a bit hesitant to purchase an English pattern from a French designer. You may wonder whether, you know, the English is going to be up to your expectations. But let me assure you, with her, it's perfectly written, perfectly worded out, really, really clear. And so, yes, it's definitely something I'm going to be recommending when it comes out. It's going to come out in September. So I still have some time, but I really want to be done because, you know me, I need to have just one project on the go at any given time, especially a garment project. Otherwise, I just lose interest, and there is no way for me I will be losing interest on this because it's a test knit. I am committed to it. So yes, I definitely want to finish it as soon as possible because I have other plans which are really exciting and that I just want to get started on. So let me just share the yarn I'm using. I'm using this, which is a gorgeous shade and really hard to capture in photograph because it's a peacock blue. And so this is the Uncommon thread. I know I have the label somewhere. Yes. It's the Uncommon thread, Uncommon Everyday Pontos, in the Pontus colorway. So it's 100% superwash merino that was very, very kindly given to me, all 3 skeins, by a French friend who is Marianne. So I'm not sure if you're watching Marianne, but thank you so much if you are, because I absolutely love it. And it's so special to be knitting of this very, very generous gift. So I have 3 balls, and I'm actually alternating all 3 balls because there is definitely a shade difference between all 3 of them. And so that also obviously slows me down because it's not super easy to be alternating between 3 skeins and doing all the other stuff going on in the pattern. But I really love the shade and I can't wait for this to be done, and it does mean I will be having a very nice garment ready for fall. I'm just itching to show you, but I can't. So in terms of where I am right now, I think I'm about the waist. So it's a tap-down sweater, and I'm about here on the knitting. So I'm definitely on my way, well on my way. And the reason why I'm very eager to finish this is that my next project is going to be out of this gorgeous yarn, and I'm not sure I showed it to you last time, this yarn, which is why I brought it up again. So this is Mungo by Rosa Pomar. I absolutely love her labels. So Rosa Pomar is a Portuguese yarn creator, very, very into ecological yarns, sustainable yarns, ethical yarns. And so this particular one is a blend of cotton and wool that are both recycled, so all wonderful stuff. And I absolutely love this shade, which, if you're wondering, is the shade 8. So yes, she, you know, I'm sure you all know about Rosa Pomar, but she is such an incredible lady to be doing this, and I know it's not an easy task, and I absolutely love everything she makes. And so I got this from Lana Tricot, Anna, who is the owner of Lana Tricot. She is in Grenoble, so just at the bottom of the Alps, and she organized a knit along because this yarn is used in a pullover that was just published in a newly created Spanish magazine, knitting magazine, which is Bellota. And so Anna is organizing a knit along around this. She translated the pattern, and so you could purchase the kit of the pattern and the yarn at her shop. And so I'm very much itching to start because the knit along has actually already started. So it's a rather informal knit along. It lasts until, I can't remember when, but you definitely have, you know, I will definitely be having enough time to knit this because it is knitting on 4.5 millimeter needles, so you know it's going to grow quite fast. It's a bottom-up sweater. It's a lovely sweater, but I'm super eager to start because all of the other participants have started and their versions are lovely, so, and I just want to join in the fun, so I'm frantically knitting away on my test knit so that I can then start this. I did, I think, do a bit of progress on my Cyril socks by Danny of Little Bobbins. So this is in my a little bag that I made quite a few years ago now, out of fabric from the V&A. That was a reproduction fabric from their quilt exhibition quite a few years ago. And so the yarn I'm using for this is Jacob by Blacker Yarns. Absolutely lovely stuff, really great. I love how grippy and toothy it is, but still very nice to the touch and soft and cozy. And so I am almost done because I'm at the toe decreases. Let me see if I have some blockers around. So there you go. As you can see, so these blockers are my gorgeous sock blockers that I bought especially for Seb's socks, for Seb's foot size really, from my friend Patricia, who is knitography, and they are made sustainably in Norway, in the middle of Norway, with wood from her forest, and so they are handmade right next to her and lovingly sanded and finished and conditioned by her. So this is my lovely Cyril sock. I really can't believe I haven't finished this already. But you know me, I'm so drawn to knitting garments all the time, but it's such a lovely sock. So as you can see, I'm almost done with the toe decreases. But it is only the first sock. I still need to cast on the second sock. So yes. So you can see the lovely detail of Danny's cable design, which is inspired after her wedding ring, her engagement ring rather. So yes. So as you can see, I used 2 shades of blacker yarn. So the lighter shade is pale green clay, and the darker shade I think is marlstone, pale green marlstone. But you do have the flecks of green in there as well, since it's the lighter shade marled with a darker shade. So yeah, I'm in no hurry really because Seb won't be needing these for quite a while. But yeah, it would really be really nice to at least knit him this pair before the end of the year. Let's dream. But yeah, I don't feel bad because I mean I have so much stuff to do and other plans and so much work, and there are only so many hours in the day. But still, I really want to finish these, and I really love the pattern. It's so well written. I absolutely love the heel and the toes and everything in it really. And also I really want to cast on the Rita socks for myself after that. So yes, it's just a matter of finding the time to make everything I want really. So Lastly, in terms of my knitting, I just wanted to go back to the Antigone or Antigone yarn that I mentioned last time, which is this gorgeous linen, organic linen yarn by Rerum Natura. I absolutely love this. I love the shade, and I think I told you last time that I'd been swatching with it and found the gauge I really liked, and then I looked for patterns that would match this gauge, and I'd found the Lucine top by Pam Allen, which was published by Quince & Co. And so because it matched my gauge perfectly, I think it was a 21 stitch per 10 centimeters gauge, I purchased the pattern and was really excited to get started soon. But after that, after I'd purchased the pattern, an errata was actually published, like rather recently, because actually they made a mistake in the gauge. And so the gauge is in fact, I think 24 stitches, which is a huge difference. And I'm pretty miffed about that, to be honest, because I purchased the pattern because it matched my gauge, and now I don't have a yarn to knit this particular pattern, so that is a bit of a bummer. I really wish they hadn't done that mistake, because yeah, I purchased it for nothing really, and so it also means I'm back to the drawing board with this yarn. So I would really like something around 22 or 21 stitches for this, because that is really the gauge swatch I really liked, which was both, really drapey but still quite regular in terms of the stitching. So yes, I'll see. So far I haven't really found anything that just quite hit the mark. My friend Lee's just finished knitting a top out of this linen. She knit the Aperitif Hour, which maybe is a French pattern actually, I can't remember. But it's lovely, it's really gorgeous, but it's not quite the gauge I liked, for myself. I'll see, maybe I just have to knit more gauge swatches and see. So yeah, that is, I'm back to the drawing board with this one. a bit frustrated about this, because I was really excited about the Lucine top in this. It was exactly the kind of top I had in mind. But yeah, that can happen. So now I just would like to very quickly share what I've been spinning, because I did make just a bit of progress on the combination spinning I had been doing, and I'm very sorry not really sorry, but yeah, this has been on my wheel almost since my son was born, so since, for 2 years, and I just haven't had the time for spinning lately. There are only so many hours in the day. I'm super busy at work. I have a lot of, I do a lot of work at the moment. Of course, I like to spend a lot of time with my children, as much as I can, so it leaves very little time for making, and even less time, for spinning, and also very little time for sharing about this. I know I haven't been sharing as much as I would like on Instagram, for instance, obviously podcasting as well. And also I'm very sad that my blog, my blog has been around since 2004, and I used to blog so much, and I kind of miss it, and especially because I loved to, it was really my sewing and knitting diary, and I loved to refer back to it for myself as well, to see what size I'd made, what alteration I'd made, when I made such and such garment. And so I miss this. But on the other hand, again, there just is only so much I can do with my time, and I still feel, I already feel I'm doing quite a lot, given all of the work I do and so on and so forth. So yes, that's why I'm not beating myself up about this, but I'm very happy to say that I'm halfway through plying this, because I had 4 braids of fibre, so 2 colours of the lighter blue and 2 colours of the darker blue, and I plied them together. So I have so this is half of it, half of the spinning, and then I have another half that is almost finished in terms of plying, and then I can also, you know, skein it up and wash it. So this is freshly washed, and I really like the result. Actually, I really love this. I hope you can see this well. I hope it is focusing well. Yeah, I absolutely love this. It's a huge, I think it's a 200-gram skein, this one, so it's huge. And I can't remember off the top of my head how much yardage there is in this, but I will definitely be putting it somewhere in the screen, because I did make a note of it. I did count the strands on my niddy noddy to know how much I had. But this is going to be a sweater for my daughter. Probably a cardigan, because she has a cardigan in these exact shades that I knit her last year, so almost actually 2 years ago, 2 winters ago, and she wears the daylights out of it. This is so much hair colours, and so she asked for a similar cardigan in, you know, for next year. Anyway, when her current cardigan is going to be too short for her. So yes, that is the plan. And it's the exact same shades as there are in her cardigan. So yes, I'm rather excited about this. I'm really happy with the way this turned out in terms of the, you know, the plying and also the regularity of the spinning, even though, you know, this was, I definitely spun on this on and off for the past few years, but still, the past couple of years, but it's still quite rather regular, in fact. I hope this is focusing. Yeah, this is focusing. Yeah, it is. As you can see, I'm really happy with the regularity in this. And the ply as well is just a very balanced yarn. It's just the right amount of twist to it. So it's super soft. It is Paul Warth that I got from Owl About Yarn. Well, maybe that was you, actually, Jenny, who sent me this. That might very well be it, actually. I mean, a bag of this a couple of years ago, that might very well be it, actually, that you gave it to me along the braids in my order. But yeah, Jenny is lovely, and she makes beautiful yarn and fibre, and, you know, with really interesting breeds of fibre, of sheep as well, which is really lovely. So this was an absolute joy to spin. It's spun like butter. It's so soft, and yeah, I'm very eager to finish this. Also because in you know, when the Tits Out Collective Yarnapalooza and Fibrepalooza happened last Sunday, which was so exciting and so wonderful, I of course I wanted to participate and support one of the dyers and also one of the charities. And so I actually, instead of getting some yarn, I got some fibre. And I got some fibre from Crafting Treats. So it should be here any day now, actually. And it's beautiful, beautiful rolags. And I think they would look really lovely in my crochet blanket that has been languishing for forever, but that's okay. But I think it would be lovely in there, because I love to use some handspun for this blanket. So yes, and I was very happy to support her, and the charity is that she gave her, you know, that she gave to was the Marie Curie Foundation, so for cancer research. And of course, if you've followed me for a while, you know how important that obviously is to me. So lastly, I know this is a long podcast, I feel it's going to be really long, but it's okay. I'm not podcasting that often, so I believe it's okay if it's rather on the longer side now, and if my episodes are rather on the longer side. But yeah, I did want to share a bit of Happy Mail Day, because I received such incredible things in the mail. So first of all, I received something absolutely wonderful, which is, I'm probably going to be using this for the thumbnail for this video, so you've probably already seen this in the thumbnail when you clicked on the video to watch it. But I received this absolute beauty. So as you can see, this is a skein of yarn, self-striping yarn by Loveburn Lane Yarns, who is in Australia. She is Julianne in Australia, and I know she's been following the podcast for a long time. I think she already followed the podcast when I was just audio. And so Julianne sent me not only one, but two of these, along with super pretty stitch markers. And the reason why this is so special is that, so if you look at the label, if you could look at the colorway name, this is called Isabelle. And that is because this was actually inspired after me, which is crazy, completely crazy. So Julianne created 4 self-striping colorways after her favorite podcasters, and she used the podcasters' favorite shades, you know, their typical color palette. And let me tell you, she was completely spot on with this, because it's so officially my favorite colors are blue and purple. So obviously you have some blue, and very much the kind of blue that I absolutely adore. You have some purple. You have some mauve, which I also, you know, rosy mauve, pinky mauve, which I also absolutely adore. And then you have this very lovely grey, and I love grey garments as well. I've knitted a fair share, especially this kind of dark grey, but not too dark. I absolutely love this so very, very much, and she really has my number. She really is spot on. I love this so much. It's such a precious skein, and I cannot believe, I'm still in complete disbelief that a yarn dyer would dye a yarn after me, a colourway after me. It's completely wonderful and overwhelming. And so this is a self-striping colourway, so it means there is a lot of work involved in this. And also she had, very sadly, she first did a first batch of this, and then she lost her formulas for it, which is must have been so heartbreaking. So she recreated the formulas for each of the 4 colourways. I know there's Kristen of Brilliant Vine, also Molly of A Homespun House, and I can't remember the 4th one, the 4th podcaster. But yeah, it's absolutely glorious. And of course there are 2, because she very generously sent me one as a gift. So thank you so very, very much, Julianne. And she sent one for the podcast. So I won't be hosting the giveaway for this quite right, quite now, because the postal services in France are very hit or miss during the summer, because they tend to, the regular postmen and postmistresses, postmen and postwomen tend to leave on holidays, and then they just hire, people that aren't actually trained, and so they make mistakes, as is expected of people who hasn't received proper training, and so mail tends to get lost. So I won't be sending this quite now. So I will be hosting a giveaway for this in the autumn. I don't know, a back to school giveaway or something. I have to think of something really special for this. And so yeah, I'm completely over the moon and overwhelmed about this, really. But I absolutely adore this. Thank you so much, Julianne. And thank you so much for watching the podcast. Next up, I also received another package from a lovely lady in Greece. She is Marie-Lisa, and she has the Spool Stories Etsy shop, and she's also Spool Stories on Instagram, and she makes beautiful, she sews beautiful project bags, tote bags, notions, pouches, and so on. And so she approached me because she told me she really liked my my approach, really, to making, and she wanted to send me a package as a gift and also to give away again, which is so very generous. And so she sent me these beautiful bags that she made. So this one is going to be for the podcast, and this one is for me. It is so very, very much me. With the small florals and the blue and purples. It's so perfect and so beautiful. It's a drawstring bag, and It's really very, very well made. Let me tell you, it's very well made. There is an inside pocket in there as well, in the color of the outer fabric. The lining is this very soft, sweet lavender polka dots. So you can see her label here, Spool Stories. It's super well made. I hope you can see this on camera. It's so beautiful. And on top of this you have so her beautiful card in there, Spool Stories, and her information is all there if you want to check her out online. And I do recommend you do, because she really has some lovely stuff out there. And there's also a very cute badge in there, Spool Stories, very nice logo. And inside there's also this very sweet lavender sachet matching the print, the outer print, which is so very nice. I always have a lavender sachet in my project bags, not only because of course it helps keep the moths at bay, but also because it makes the yarn smell nice, and also because I love the soothing smell of lavender. So I love to have this as part of my, you know, higgy knitting experience, really, of inhaling the relaxing scent of lavender whilst knitting. So I really love it. I love lavender. But she also included one for the prize bag. So let me now show you the prize bag, which is super special. So this one is a zipped bag, but also really, really well made, you know, with all the nice details of a tab there in the contrasting fabric, a handle. And what's crazy about this bag is, and that is really her trademark, Marie-Lise's trademark, is that she used, as she does in a lot of her designs, she used some cork fabric. This is actual cork, and it's so fun. It's actually actual cork fabric with a bit of a gold, like a gold stellina thread that's woven in there. Very, very subtle. But yeah, it's. I hope you can see the gold shine. But this is just so pretty. So the inside is also polka dot lining, vibrant purple, and you do have a very nice lavender sachet in there. So it's so fun and pretty and very special with the cork. And I feel the cork must be very I wish you could feel this through the screen, it's so special, but I bet it must be really resistant, really sturdy, so it's great as a bottom piece for a bag, really. So yes, it's so well made. So again, I will also be having a giveaway for this, but later on in the year. Probably this will be part of the Colourwork knit along that I'm very sorry to say I haven't been participating in lately, but there is a year-long Colourwork knit along in my rivalry group for garments, so only garments, but it's the year of Colourwork, and I like to have some prizes in there every now and then for the people who do participate, not like me, and so this will be a prize for this, definitely. So you don't have to post only finished objects in there, you can, you know, post your progress as well. But yeah, I will be sharing more of this later on in the year. So if you're casting on something at the moment in Colourwork, you can you know, be motivated and think that you could actually qualify for this, which is really lovely. Lastly, in terms of my Happy Mail Day, I did get some new children's fabrics because, as I told you last time, I've been sewing a lot of children's garment in, you know, out of my favourite organic cotton jersey fabrics, and so I did want to get a few new fabrics, especially as there have been sales lately. I'm not a huge sales person. Because, well, especially in terms of, you know, fashion and all that thing, but it is nice to, you know, if a fabric shop that I like wants to, you know, is getting more stock in and wants to to sell things a bit more quickly, then it is nice to take advantage of this, especially as you know, European organic cotton isn't cheap, obviously. So for my children, I got, so from Mademoiselle Fourmi, I did share this in a story on Instagram when I received this. So the fabrics are a bit crinkled, I just washed them, but I got these two matching prints by Parpy Design, who are a Finnish company of printed organic cotton jerseys. So I got these and this one. So the red is going to be for my son, he loves red, and the blue is going to be for my daughter because she is a huge fan of blue. So I'm going to make them matching things. I have a meter for my daughter, so I could make her even a dress, or I don't know, maybe a romper or something, or a play suit. I would love to make her a play suit. And then for my son, I have enough for 50. I had 50 centimeters for my son, so that is enough, for instance, to make him an outfit of, you know, shorts or even trousers and a t-shirt. That would be really nice. And I also got in this order this fabric, which is Ecotech but not organic, so definitely not as sustainable, of this very fun panel. So this is for my daughter. So as you can see in this panel, you have this bear for the front of the shirt, then you have these stripes with boats, paper boats for the back, and then you have this strip of black fabric for the sleeves. So that allows you to have a very fun, very ready-to-wear looking top t-shirt without having to buy all three fabrics separately. So I found that was really, really fun, and my daughter loves it, so that's great. And then I also placed another fabric order very, very recently, I think last week, and I just received it yesterday, and I'm so excited about it. Oh my goodness. So Parpy Design themselves had a sale in which was a rather small sale, but it was just, you know, fabric remnants, fabric cuts that they sold at a very reduced price. So they had mystery fabric bundles, and I got the 4-meter mystery fabric bundle. And I was a bit, you know, obviously there was a bit of trepidation around this, because I like to know what I'm getting, really. I like to be, again, to be in control. That is definitely, you know, part of who I am. But I just felt, I absolutely love Parpy Designs. I love their prints. You know, how could I ever be disappointed in them? They also stated that the minimal length would be 40 centimeters, which is great, because with 40 centimeters I can still make lots of garments for my children, especially my little one. And so I cannot believe what I got. Especially they also stated that you could also occasionally get some solid fabrics, but I didn't. I got amazing prints. I cannot believe I got all this. For 40 euros, so it was a 40 euro bundle of 4 meter, so it was 10 meter so each fabric cost 10 euro a meter, whilst Parpy Designs usually cost around 23, I think 23 euro for 1 meter, so that was an incredible deal. And I'm sure I have more than 4 meters in there actually. So this is what I got. All this happy pile of happy children's prints, and I love each and every one of them so much. I'm so excited about this. So I got this very nice warm green with flowers on this, which is going to be perfect for my little boy. He has a warmer tone. This one as well, which is going to be great for my boy. This is called Moss Path. I actually have a cut of this for myself in a petrol shade that I haven't yet cut into, but it's a very nice fabric with some, you know, lots of details, some ants and owls and mushrooms. It's one of my favourite prints by them, actually. After that, I received, this is probably my least favourite, so it's a woven, it's the only woven I got in this. It's a woven cotton with tractors. I love the shades, but honestly, I'm not that into tractors. I'm not sure. And my son isn't yet. Maybe he will one day, or my daughter also, obviously. Actually, she really liked it. My daughter really liked it. So, who knows? It's the one that inspires me least, also because it's woven, and I tend to make knit garments for my jersey garments for my kids. But still, it's really fun. I'm sure it will come in handy one day. Then I got this super fun pike fabric, which is actually one of their newest designs. So I wasn't expecting to get one of their newest designs in this bundle. I thought I was going to get all the designs, but it's super pretty, really fun. I love how this is really fun and funky, but not cutesy. That's what I love about Poppy designs. And my daughter absolutely loves this. So yellow, warm yellow background, and white and pink and black details. Really fun. And then I got this one, and this is a nice, I think it's 1 meter cut, this one, which is one of their Christmas designs, which is so sweet, so sweet. And I must admit, I wouldn't have gotten this, you know, if I had been given the choice. I don't think I would have gotten this one because it's so seasonal, but I really like it actually, and I think it would be lovely because there's quite a lot of length in this particular cut. So I could make a garment for each of my children for winter, for Christmas, which would be really sweet. So actually I'm really excited about this one. And lastly, but certainly not last, and last but certainly not least, I got this, and I'm so excited about this one because I had my eye on it. I almost got it actually when I purchased the other 2 Poppy cuts that I showed you from France. I almost got this one because it's little girls reading, and the girls are black haired with very long hair, and they are completely engrossed in their reading, and that is the spitting image of my daughter, really. So I almost got this fabric just a few weeks ago, so I was so excited. And again, it's a very long length, so I can do a lot with this. And my daughter is super excited about this one. So yes, a huge success in terms of this order. I was so pleasantly surprised. I couldn't believe my eyes when I received all this. I just couldn't imagine I would have been so very pleased with all of them. So yeah, that was definitely a hit for me. So I got this directly from the Poppy website. The shipping to France was rather very reasonable actually. I was very pleasantly surprised in this respect. So with this, my friends, with this plethora of fabrics, which means obviously now my fabric stock in terms of, you know, children's sewing is filled, and you know, will last me for at least a year, if not 2, which is lovely. So with all this, my friends, I will leave you now. I do hope you're all doing super well. I do hope you enjoyed. I'm sure this episode will be rather long, and I hope you won't mind this, but I'm not podcasting that often, so it is inevitable, isn't it? So I wish you all a lovely summer. I'm not sure when I'll be back. You know, I'm not quite sure about when I'll have time to film again, but until we chat again, I hope you're all doing super well, and I hope your making brings you joy. Bye bye!